Welcome to In Conversation, the space where we go beyond job titles to uncover the people, the stories, and the real work behind the professions. On today's episode of My World of Work, we are joined by someone making powerful strides in the retail and fashion industry. Gugulethu Zwane. Gugulethu Zwane is an area manager at one of the world's leading sportswear brands, a role that sees her balancing strategy and style as she drives store performance and nurtures teams and ensures brand consistency across multiple locations. In this conversation, we'll explore her journey, her academic and professional journey, unpack what it truly means to manage a brand from the ground up, and hear how she's adopting to a retail world that's consistently evolving. If you're into leadership, branding, or just curious about what it really takes to grow in retail, this one is great. Welcome to In Conversation.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome and the introduction.
You're welcome. I would like us to start at the beginning. What did you study, and how did that shape the direction your career eventually took?
Funny enough, at school I did actually both I did both maths and I also did general. And what I'm doing now it does not have anything to do with what I studied. It's just like the life circumstances push me to the direction of retail.
So, could you tell us what you studied?
Okay, so when I was at school, upon my matric, I did my general studies, which is your normal geography and history. And then I matriculated with that. And then when I finished school, I then had to start working. I think I had a gap of one day between me writing my last paper of matric and starting to work. And from then onwards, I hit the ground running and I never looked back. And then the love of retail started growing into me. And then I then forgot what I initially wanted to study, of which I wanted to be an attorney. In the beginning of my studies, I wanted to be an attorney. I was very passionate about it because I could argue both sides of the story at any point in time. But then the life circumstances did not allow me to go that direction. And then I ended up in retail.
So, you don't have any formal education after matric.
When I, when I started working, then there's this programs. I think they call learnerships in retail. Sita normally sponsors those. So I started with that initially from the beginning in the very early stages, where there was a NQF4. Then I did that. At that point in time, I was working for Mr. Price, and then I did the NQF4. From there, I did the NQF5, and I did the 6, and then I ended up with the 7, which is what I did lastly 3 years ago.
So, what was your first job in retail?
I worked as a casual at Mr. Price. That was in 1997.
And current at the moment, what's your occupation?
I'm now an area manager managing 7 stores for Puma Group.
Oh, that's nice. So, can you walk us through a day in your life as an area manager? What keeps you on your toes?
I will say people because in the retail space, you can hire robots for anything else but people. Being our external customers and internal customers, your suppliers and your staff also. So that is a exciting element of retail space. You deal with different customers every day with different moods and different attitudes and characters. When you're looking inside with your staff, you also got exactly the same thing. They're all different. They need to be understood differently. They need to be led differently. And then especially now with all the generational gaps and different generations that are in the workspace, you need to be able to ensure that each and every one of them is accommodated and well looked after.
So, your role requires you to keep a global brand consistent at a local level. So, how do you approach that without losing the human element?
I always said that to be a leader, you can never be a leader if you can't serve because you gotta serve your customers, you gotta serve your people. So for you to be able to lead and listen and have your ear on the ground, you must be in touch with the human factor. You cannot go robotic because then things go totally haywire. What I mean about you cannot just be all about policies and procedures, black and white. You have to have empathy. You have to have a listening ear. You have to have a heart to want to grow people, to want to work with people. And that is what keeps you human. Because as a leader, especially when you're leading a bigger spectrum, you lose You lose that sight very easily because if you're chasing numbers, numbers upon numbers, and then you forget that for you to get to the certain number, you need a person to do that. And then you forget about the human factor of ensuring that the people are there.
So you've been in leadership for some time now. What's something you've learned about people that has changed how you lead?
I will say it's very it changes all the time. Hey, from the time I became a leader up until now, I learn every day about people. One of the main thing that I've learned is that when people go and do things that are wrong in the workplace, especially, it's not necessarily that that person is naughty, excuse me, or they ill disciplined. Sometimes, if you don't take time to sit with your employees or your people that you're working with, the colleagues, you never know who they are. And yet, if you explore that and sit down and have a chat with the person, because the behavior is what you are trying to correct, but you do not have a personal issue with that person per se, so sitting down with the person and unpacking what causes the person to act a certain way, it helps a lot. And that is like a sort of everyday learning. I even took that through to my recruitment strategy. When I recruit, I always go to the factors of finding out who you are. Who do you stay with? Because that will play a major role on you in your attendance to work and your commitment to workspace. Who do you stay with in your family, siblings? What number are you? You know, normally last ones are always the softer ones that will not actually persevere for anything. The minute you give them a warning, they're out the door because my brothers and sisters will look after me. Firstborns are always very prone to being perseverance. They will stay at the workplace. They will ensure that things are done. They're very disciplined at the same place because they've got responsibilities. So, you know, when you dig further and unpack all of those, then you get to understand people. And then you get to understand each and every person and the way that you're going to treat them going forward.
So, what would you say are the key skills for a person who would like to get into, who would like to also become an area manager?
First, as I said, it's always about people. Being area manager is about people and numbers, but more about people because you need your whole team to be mobilized and to give you the numbers that you need. So without a motivated team, you will not be able to. Without you being passionate about people. Normally, the successful area managers are people's people, people's people. I don't know if I'm saying it right. And then if you're a numbers person, you normally seems to struggle because when you're supposed to show empathy, then you don't. Then they feel like they're not being looked after or they're not being heard, whatever that they say. So the first element to be an area manager, you gotta be passionate about people. You gotta be passionate about retail also. And you gotta understand that it's not an easy road. Every single day you face different challenges. In 1 week, you can face the whole 5 different challenges and you have to overcome all of them because there is no time to be a sissy and be crying. You gotta stay strong. You're gonna have your back against the wall. You have to be there for your people. Sometimes it's between the people and then the company people. They might not be understanding a certain new policy. Then they come to you and then you pushing back and then the company pushes back. You gotta be able to fight and be able to stand up for your people and ensuring that the right things are done in stores also. Because sometimes the people will do wrong things and then you need to ensure that the people on the ground also understand that there's certain rules and policies and procedures that needs to be followed for the company. So, and also you have to be a person that is not shy of conflict, of conflict management and difficult discussions. For instance, you cannot go and sugarcoat something because I like Sepiso. And then I'm gonna say to you, no, well done, well done. And then I go to the boardroom and says, Sepiso messed up big time here. But you don't know that as a person. Mina, I told you that everything is okay. So you must be able to take off the mask, say it as it is, as how it's supposed to be, and then you support going forward instead of just brushing it up and then tomorrow it becomes a bigger problem. So those are all the main elements that you need to be a leader. And also you must be able to multitask a lot, because we get through a day, we do a lot in one day, you do a whole lot of things that you have to do with different caps.
So, would you say someone who's shy or an introvert will struggle in that position?
The person will struggle unless they're willing to actually step out of the shell. In a sense that you have to be an outspoken person, you have to be an assertive person. Most of the time, Introverts are normally they're not very assertive in a sense. Not in a bad way. It's within their character. However, as an area manager, you must be able to put a discipline now, and it needs to go now. And then you need to be firm and assertive about whatever that you're saying. Introverts tends to shy away from speaking loud, or also being not aggressive in a bad way, but if you want something done, they would always like to give you more time. And then sometime that does not work in the retail space because you want things done today now.
So for people often think retail is all about sales and discount. What's something most people don't realize about the work behind the scene?
Behind the scenes, there's a lot that happens, hey, behind the scenes. The love that you feel as a shopper when you walk into a retail space, like into any clothing store or any whatever retail space that is out there. You see the people smiling, you see the people happy. But what goes on behind those doors, when they close, where it says stuff, when it's labeled stuff, you have no idea. Because those people have to receive the stock. They have to unpack the stock. They have to steam where you need to steam the stock. They must price the stock. They must come back and sell you the stock with a smile. And sometimes the hours are long. Sometimes the labor load is very, very heavy. Where, like, looking, for instance, when you go into the peak season of December, where you have to maybe get the guys to pull extra shifts because maybe somebody fell off sick. In December time, people misbehave, they don't come to work. The minute you pay them, then they disappear on you. And then you're going to have that couple of people that you're going to say, please come in for me and fill up for me, or maybe pull 2 more hours for me. And it's quite hard. And then as a employee or as a retail person, you can never walk out of the back areas crying, sad. You can't. You gotta, when you step out of that back there, you need to be positive, you need to be passionate, you need to be driving, you need to be smiling, and then later on you can go punch the boxes at the back. But the job is done, and then the target is made, and the customers know that we are happy. So there's quite a lot that people don't really realize. That even the way that most customers will treat the retail workers, it's like they're not human, but they are human, and they go through a lot, like a lot. But part of the culture of retail culture, you gotta be strong, you gotta smile, you gotta make the money. That's part of the culture.
So you play a key role in keeping the brand alive on the ground. How do you keep the identity and energy of a global brand consistent across different teams and locations?
So with our current company, we've got quite a lot of initiatives that we're running. One of it is our DNA, the other one is the wild, and the other one is being the love brand. And all you do, it has to start from home. For instance, if you have to talk about the love brand, it has to start from home. It has to start from each and every store. It has to start with each and every employee loving the brand, loving what you do, loving our our products, loving our customers that walks through our doors, welcoming them with love. Where we go and ensure that in terms of the culture that we attend to customers' unpleasantries very fast, and then you ensure that the customer is like living happy or staying happy. You will never make a customer happy, but you always try by all means to say that, ma'am or sir, we do apologize. This is the way forward. This is what we're going to do for you. And it's not an easy thing. However, it has to start from the ground up. And if it's on the ground, because that is where the money is at, on the ground, because the money is not in the offices up there. We make the money on the ground. So if the customer feel the love when they walk into the store, if they feel the welcome when they come into the store, when they feel that personal touch, these people know me, these people care about me, they will always come back to you. They will always come back to you. They will always come back to your stores, and then they will talk to other people. Word of mouth, funny enough, it's still the biggest thing ever. They will still go out to the families and says, go shop into this store and look for Tsepiso because you know what, he's such a great guy and everything else. And that is how we actually maintain the culture and building the brand from the ground up.
So can you tell me what has been your biggest challenge you faced in your career, and how did you get through it?
Yo, my biggest one. I just recently moved to Pretoria from Durban.
Oh, you're in Pretoria.
So, yes, I'm in Pretoria now. So, the biggest challenge was the change of the province because throughout my career, I've been poached by companies in Pretoria, Joburg, and I sworn that I'll never go there. Funny enough, I did agree this time, and then I landed up in Pretoria. Worst thing, the traffic. I'm not used to traffic. Durban, I did not have traffic issues. Secondly, I had to drive a manual car. From driving for almost 20 years, I was driving a auto. Now I must drive a manual car in traffic. Okay. And then thirdly, I did not know where my stores were at. I have to like put them on Waze, put it on the thing on GPS and try and find my stores. So now it's traffic, it's GPS, and it's a manual car all in one. So going to work became like an adventure where I have to pack bad clothes because I know it's going to be a big adventure for me to get to like a space of maybe 45 minutes. It will take me so long because of all those challenges. Then it was the culture change because I'm Zulu, and then this side there's Tswana, there's Soto, there's Pedis, and then me also learning my language, learning the language and brushing up on my Soto. The few lines that I had, I had to dust them up now and being serious about learning Soto. And there was quite a lot. And then customers also totally different from the Durban customers. All of that, it became like, it was like a biggest challenge. Then it was the accommodation space where I had to go stay in the estate and I don't like the estate. When I stayed in the estate, I felt like I was caged in and I had to go find a place elsewhere. So all of those things, I worked through them like each and every single day, one by one, until I got over it. And funny enough, I just said to my boss the other day that I'm actually grateful that I did take the risk and the chance to come because I don't think I would have learned everything that I've learned in this past 9 months that I've been around Puma.
So we can do the interview in Soto.
No, 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 no. Still a bit weak.
So I want to flip it a bit. What's something that still brings you joy or pride in the way you?
What brings me joy and always has brought me joy is to see people growing. Is to see people which I will say I've employed years back when they were casuals and coming from school as those part-time casuals, and now they've got houses, they married, they like managers. Some of them are even area managers, and that brings me joy. And growing also, in terms of the people that I've always been the person like it's a correctional service. My shops were always like that. If ever you had an issue with anybody in your store, they'll say send them to Gugu store because they knew that I will sort them out. But seeing those people turning the page from being the baddest of them all, the person that everybody wants to get rid of and fire, when the person decides, you know what, now I'm going to do this here because I've seen the light, I've heard everything that I've been advised about. And then they become the best managers, by the way, because they've done it all. They know all the lines, so nobody can draw them up. They become the best managers. And it's very, very fulfilling to see them now and talking to them and like, guys, you remember when I first met you? Do you remember the struggle you gave me? And then we laugh about it now. But it's so fulfilling to see people grow and seeing people that some of them don't take things seriously, but some of them, once you have a chat with them and consult with them, and then the person start realizing, it's not a game and I gotta turn the page. And that is very fulfilling.
So if a young person told you they want to work in your industry and grow into a leadership role, what's the first thing you tell them to start doing to?
They've got to start being, how do I put it? Need to go to the shopping, go to the store, go to any store, walk around, observe, not as a shopper, but go there as if you work there. Listen to what the customers are saying. Is that what you want? Because that's your daily life. If your answer is yes, this is a challenge that I want, then take it. Because most of the time, what happens is that you get these people that wants to come into retail. They don't know what retail is about. And then the person comes and work. Then they go on lunch, they never come back. And you're waiting for the person to come back from lunch and the person is not coming back. When you're calling them, it's like, no, I'm never coming back there. But it's because they did not do the research. They did not find that niche. Is this what I want to do? Is this how my life is going to be? Because once you take a retail career, once you fall in love with it, there's no going back.
So you mentioned earlier that you started off with a learnership. Are those learnerships still available even today?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They're still available. I did mine over, I was at Mr. Price. We did it with University of Pretoria, but each and every company, I think then they like whichever year, and then they put it through a certain companies, certain, varsities. The last one I did was with Regenesis. That was my NQF7 that I did last. And then it was also very, very nice, very, very insightful and powerful. And it teaches you a lot about about the retail space and where it's going and the threats and everything. And the main thing that I used to enjoy a lot when I used to come from those classes, because it takes a lot of your time also, by the way. So you must be able to juggle up your work and your studies. So whenever I used to be gone for the week, when I used to come back to work, my people used to be so excited because they knew that I'm going to come share something new with them. And that used to make me so excited because, like, my last day on the Thursday, they'd be calling me, "Are you coming in tomorrow? You're off tomorrow?" Because they're waiting for some new things that I'm going to come and share with them. And I grew a lot also from those experiences. I did.
That's awesome. So, if you had the chance to reset, would you still choose this journey or would you explore something different? Maybe you go back to doing
I will choose this. I will choose this over and over again.
that's dope. That means you really love retail.
I do. I do.
So I was wondering, are people still allowed to do walk-ins to drop off their CV at the store, or is only online?
There are, however, I always beg to differ, and I've always looked at it differently. Dropping off a CV, for me, it's like if you come to me and you're looking for a job, it's either I'm going to hire you or I'm not going to hire you. So dropping your CV, you're not working, first of all. The money that you went and made copies with, you might have borrowed it. And then I'm taking that from you knowingly that I don't have a vacancy. Then that's wrong. And I always say to the guys that used to come into my store looking for a job that, you know what, I'm not employing currently, but take your CV with you. Do come back and check maybe at a certain space because maybe I will be taking for December. But I'm not going to keep your CV and knowingly that I won't have time to go through 100 stacks of CVs because I'm wasting people's money and time and hope also. Because remember, when the person gives you the CV and you take it, the person has got hope now. They go home so hopeful that, you know what, 4 people took my CV today. And you know very well that at the back there, you've got a box where you dump all the CVs. And it's not right. Morally, that's not right. And I've never agreed with the CV story. The minute I take your CV, it's because I know that I want you, I'm going to take you. Or I will advise you to say, you know what, these are the tips that I'm going to give you. I'm not employing currently, but as a recruiter, when you come bring a CV, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to show up. This is your attitude. Like, for instance, I used to tell the guys that used to come in groups and say to them, "Are you all friends?" Yes. And I says, what if I choose one of you? What's going to happen to the friendship? Aren't you going to start fighting? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I says, but don't ever do that. Go look for a job yourself. Because the minute they start picking a certain person, that person becomes like sort of a sideline now. You know what? They always pick him, you know. I said, just go there because in the world you have to face it by yourself, not with your friend.
So, what's something you wish you could go back and tell your younger self when you were just starting?
I wish I could tell myself to be confident from the word go. Because if I have to tell you my story, when I left school, I was just like a I was very, very young, not young in that sense, but I was very green in a sense. And I came from the rural schools. So respect was one of the things that, you know, you gotta respect your elders, you gotta respect other people in general. And when I got to the workspace, they exploited me because of that respect. So, and I did not know better that I am intelligent because I felt like, you know what, just because I was one of the very first Black people that were employed in a company, I felt people took advantage of that. They'll send me to go and pay for their accounts on my lunch break. I'll be standing in long queues until my lunch break is over. And then I'll come back and then I'm in trouble now because I'm late from my lunch break that I have not even eaten yet. And it was such a funny thing now because I look at it and I laugh, you know, because nobody really told me anything. They just put me there. And because of my confidence level and my level of respect for people, I did not ask, so why are you sending me to go and pay your account? Why don't you do it yourself? Because I was not in that space to do that. So my younger self, I would have said, you know what, I would have been stronger from the beginning and being more pushing back in the sense. But then again, it became my advantage because then I got to be a stronger person. And there are a lot of things that I got through because of my first days at work when things were really, really hard. And then I got through most of the things because of that. And if they did not put me through all of that, I would have been flimsy and I would have gave up a long time ago.
Maybe it's a good thing they
Yes, 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 yes. That's a good thing. And now when they see me, like, you remember me? And I'm like, you don't know what I remember about you.
So when you think about the legacy you're building, what kind of impact do you want to leave behind, whether it's for you or for your team?
It's about kindness. I'll say being kind, but not being soft. People go through a lot. In the retail space, people go through a lot. We tend to be focusing on the end results than knowing and being kind to the next person. And having said that, in the sense where I will use a customer again, a customer and the staff interaction, that the customer will come shopping and then they upset. They get into the store, they're not happy about the husband or the kids or whatever that's going on in their life. When they come, they take it out on you as a staff member in the store. And in the hindsight, you also going through a lot yourself. And that person, because they were not kind to you, you might just have a very, very bad day or a bad year or even a bad month because now you're feeling that all the customers are the same. So I always preach kindness because it goes beyond the boundaries of anything that is put out there to be the boundary. Be kind to the next person because you have no idea what they're going through. Even from us in the retail space, customers come in into our stores where they've been through a lot and you don't know that. And then you give bad customer service and that person just flips and they lose it. And you're like, what the hell is going on with this one here? In time, you were not kind to that customer there. Often where I've got, when I was a manager, got like you get into this scuffle with customers where they're not happy about the exchange and this and the other. They tell you your fortune. And then you just have to be kind and say, okay, I do apologize. How can I fix this? At the later stage, that customer will always come back to you and say, you know what, thank you for actually listening and actually tolerating me on that day. I was going through such and such and such. And then you start like stepping back and thinking, you know what, if I acted out what could have happened? The situation could have been worse. The person was already going through a lot that day when they came here. So being kind, to me, it plays a big, big role.
Mm. You know, when you're at the store and maybe you're trying to buy something, most of the time you will find one of the staff members following you around the shop. Is why do they do that? Do they get a maybe a commission by selling you the product or something? What's the reasoning behind?
Okay, some of the retailers, it is about commission. Some of the retailers, it's about ensuring that the customer is serviced and they're getting what they want. In what sense? I mean, normally, like us ladies, I'll use us as ladies because we go into the shop blind. You just saw a shoe there and you find yourself in the shop. You didn't really mean to come and buy the shoe. And you just need a persuasion, somebody to be there to say to you, try it on, you know? And then you're like, no, ma'am, please have a seat, ma'am, try it on. Then you put it on. When you step on it, you're like, damn, I want this shoe. And you buy the shoe.
Okay.
Most of the time it's there for that and assist. And some people, I was more also in the more for sports, in the sports environment. A mother will come in, a child is playing hockey. It's the first time playing hockey. The mother got told, go get a hockey kit. And then the mother gets there. They don't know a thing about hockey. And when you are there to assist, then the customer feels, okay, now it's welcome. Now I know I got the person that knows the product, guided me, and then you advise and then you move on from that. And then also on the other hindsight, in terms of the compliance and risk, you've got shoplifters.
I was about to ask you.
Shoplifters. That is just the bad side of the retail. But the thing is that culturally in retail, if you greet every customer, you will then know who's your shoplifter. Because shoplifters will there's something like we call John Cena's of the industry. They don't want to be seen. They want to walk in like nobody saw them. They want to steal and want to leave. The minute you greet them, then they turn around and go. So that also becomes part of avoiding the shoplifters from coming into your store and stealing, because now you've seen them, you've recognized them, you've greeted them, you acknowledge them, and they don't want that.
Okay. So how do you guys deal with difficult clients, difficult customers?
There is an old saying that says customer is right and customer is king. And that is true. I always say, and I've always done it, when the customer comes to you complaining, very, very seldom, 3% maybe they'll be just not having a good day. But when the customer comes to you, you got to listen to what they're not telling you. And then you look back in the mirror and says, what have I done to upset this customer as a company, as a brand? And then you try and rectify that. But taking defense and being offensive about it and defensive about it and like, being rude to a customer, it's not going to help you. And you got to listen. And if a customer comes to you and says to you, I've bought an item and an item got a hole in it. You're not going to jump into conclusion and says, but maybe you wore it, because you're going to think about the factors behind that. Why will this person waste their petrol to come here? Why must they even waste their breath telling me about this issue? Maybe there is a real issue. Let me look at it. And then you go look at the more on the floor. When you see the rest of maybe one or two of them got the hole, then it is a manufacturing fault. You need to resolve it. And then sometimes it will be just that one that will have an issue. But I always look at customer won't waste their money and pick up a call and call you if they did not really have a real and serious complaint, and they won't drive into your store to come and like present your complaint to you, and then you don't want to address it because they could have just kept quiet and never come back to your store, and then your loss is bigger.
Okay. So this is my last question. Looking ahead, what's one professional milestone or goal you've set you've set for yourself in the next year?
In the next year, I want to be a operational manager. So I want to be in charge of the area managers.
Oh, okay.
That's my goal for the year.
All the best on that goal. Gugulethu, I want to take this moment to say thank you for taking the time to share your story with us. I don't know if maybe there's anything you want to share.
Now, from like on the closing, what I will say, if I have to speak to the younger guys in terms of the goals and pursuing the careers, you gotta just bite the bullet and go for it, because you're the only person that knows your dreams, you're the only person that knows your goals, you're the only person that knows your situation at home. So listening to friends and then cahooting in wrong things, that does not work. You need to focus every single day when you get up and go to work. If you're working, you gotta always find the purpose. Why am I wearing this uniform? Why am I even bothering bathing and looking pretty and handsome and going to work? Because then it will be a waste of your time if you don't love what you do and if you do not have a purpose of whatever that you're doing. So you got to put passion in it, you're going to put a purpose, and then you're going to discipline yourself every single day to say that I'm going there because of this and that and that. Set your goals, short-term goals and the long-term goals, and follow through with them.
So within the retail side, would you say there are opportunities, unlimited opportunities that the person can grow within the industry of retail?
Definitely. Unlimited. And it's not about how long you've been in the game. It's about what are you bringing into the table today. You can walk in today and by next week you can get a promotion. It's about how much work you're putting in. The story of the youngsters that walks into the retail space and they get told that Google has been here for 20 years as a casual. You just need to wait in line. Don't do that. Don't let them drag you down the road. You gotta come in, you gotta be aggressive about your dreams, and you're gonna be very protective of your dreams and then chase them. But the growing space in retail is very big because people have to wear clothes, people have to eat. So there's always something. There's always something. And the trends are coming and going, and that's where you come in.
Once again, Gugu, thank you for taking the time and for being with us.
You're welcome.